Okie doke. I'm Jack Picton. I'm here with Vanessa Baker. Hello. We are here recording for the TLS 150B interview project. I've known Vanessa from work for the past couple years. We worked together at the Views Golf Club in Oro Valley, and now I have the privilege to interview her and ask her some questions about her leisure time practices and her just work and life in general. So I'm going to be beginning by asking, obviously, first your age
I am 34 years old.
and your current occupation or occupations.
I am a realtor here in Tucson, and then I also work a couple days a week as a golf shop assistant in the golf shop at the Views.
Nice. And your current educational level.
I have a college degree.
Okay. Where did you, if you want to discuss, where did you go first? And
So I went to 4 universities actually because I moved around a lot. So I started at Texas State University, and then I moved on to ASU, and then I went to IU in Indiana, and then back to Arizona and finished up at the U of A and graduated from U of A.
Nice. And your current relationship status is
I am single.
nice. No children, correct. Your racial slash ethnic background.
I'm white.
Okay, easy enough. Your religion, I suppose, if you have one.
Don't really have one. I was raised Catholic, but I don't really consider myself as a religious adult.
Okay. And you are a straight woman,
I am.
I take it.
I
Okay.
am.
Now we get into the nitty gritty of the work schedule during the week. So typically combined between your real estate job and the job at the golf course, about how many hours per day do you work? And then would that be per week and then per day?
So between both, I would say I work about 30 hours a week at the golf shop right now. And then I do real estate when I'm not at the golf shop. So I'd say I'm working about 40, 45 hours a week total right now. So maybe a little more than 8 hours a day
Okay.
each place. When I'm at the golf shop, if it's slow enough, I can actually do some stuff on my phone for real estate. So
Yeah, that's what's going to ask is if your work at the real estate agency and also with the golf shop, if you're able to combine those at all. Like you said about the I've seen you a couple times. This might, I don't know if this discloses too much information, but
No,
I've seen you
fine.
since I work with Vanessa, we often, I guess our work schedules coincide, so we see each other a lot. And when the day is slow and there's not much play at the golf course, we'll both be doing either schoolwork or work for outside jobs and whatnot. So.
Yeah, so I can I bring my laptop with me and most of real estate can be done remotely. Like I don't have to be at the office or anything. So I can just jump on my phone or jump on my computer if I need to do some paperwork or send some forms over, do something for real estate online. So sometimes I can do both, which is very helpful. One of the reasons why I chose to work at the golf shop is because I can easily access real estate if I need to.
Okay. Actually, in regards to your real estate profession, do you like the ability to be able to work from home versus, being stuck in an office every time? And maybe also having a pretty open schedule at the golf course. Would you agree with that? Or?
Yeah, definitely. One of the reasons I chose to do real estate was because I was kind of tired for working for other people. So I wanted to do something that I could control how much work I get into or I put into it. So that's definitely a plus for me. And like I said, I can work from home. I can work from anywhere else,
Mm-hmm.
basically doing real estate. So I like that. So I don't really consider it work because I can do it anywhere,
Mm-hmm.
and it's easy for me to jump on and get stuff done if I need to. And then working at the golf shop, they're very flexible with me. You know, I've known our boss for a while,
Mm-hmm.
so working with him is really easy, and he's very flexible with me as far as hours and getting done. You know, letting me
Mm-hmm.
kind of work my schedule around what I need to
Mm-hmm.
make sure I can get everything done.
Yeah, absolutely. I would tend to agree with what Vanessa said, and something that isn't listed obviously on this outline is making connections with people of different ethnic or age groups or cultural groups. And although Vanessa and I differ in age a little bit, we both knew our current boss from previously in our lives, and then both enjoy the freedom that, so to speak, having that we have at the golf course, being kind of like a productive environment, but is also non-restrictive in nature, I would say.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's just touching on your normal work week. Now, in regards to domestic things that you do, such as activities that you require in order to function properly as a person throughout the week and throughout the day, how many hours would you say that you spend per day, per week, performing these domestic tasks? Obviously, what they are, and do you see that you need more time for these? Would you like more time for these? Do you find that your current time adequate? I mean, we could just start with what those tasks are, and then.
So I'm a homebody anyway, so I enjoy being home. I enjoy doing the domestic things like cooking, cleaning, that kind of thing. I'm super OCD, so I like to have my house clean all
It
the
is
time.
very clean.
I would say, I'd spend, I don't know, maybe like 2 hours a day doing domestic stuff. So like cooking, cleaning, whatever stuff around the house. I like to work outside in my garden and stuff like that, watering flowers and whatever. So, yeah, I'd say probably about 2 hours a day. I do like to have a very healthy work-life balance. So I always try, no matter how busy I am, I still always try to be able to do those domestic things because I enjoy them. And then I feel more put together. I feel more organized if those things are done. So it takes, I guess, stress away knowing that those things can get done. So I always try to make time for it. And like I said, I really, 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 really try to do the have a healthy work-life balance for it.
That's also another thing we've talked about in the class is having balance in your whatever you're doing. Make sure that you're not putting all your eggs into one basket.
Right.
And then as it pertains to maybe like weekend activities, would you find yourself, and this is would be interesting, it depends on person to person, do you find yourself performing more or less domestic tasks than you would during the week? And maybe the domestic tasks or the time that you would normally do those are taken over by more leisure activities on the weekends, but you sometimes work on the weekends too.
Right.
So it's different. But like whatever your 2 days off a week or whatever your day off, how does that affect your domestic task?
Yeah, so I always try to do some real estate stuff on the weekends because that's when, the real estate people are out doing things. So, between doing open houses or, just going to different open houses or going to look at home sites or whatever. But I do try to do leisurely stuff on the weekends because it's just, like I said, the work-life balance thing. So I'd say I probably do more of that on the weekends than I do during the week. Maybe even more of the domestic things, like fixing stuff around the house or putting stuff on the walls or doing some kind of housework that I don't really want to do during the week. So yeah, I'd say it probably increases a little bit on the weekend for both.
I would imagine that's what most people are like. But obviously, and this is just based on your background, being single and having the freedom of
Right.
having little to no responsibility for other individuals
Right.
helps out a lot too, because everyone's domestic tasks would be different
Right.
in that sense. And then kind of the last part of that question would be, how much leisure time do you have in a typical work day? And then maybe on a weekend or something, how does that differ? Because you mentioned you like your life in balance, and some people interpret that as every day having time for leisure, and some might say work pays off and then the weekends you get off. So how does leisure?
Just like the domestic things, I like to make sure to get leisure time in too. So I like to do different things. I like to. I'm kind of an old soul. I'm kind of an old lady at heart. So I like to do, at night after everything's done, I've eaten dinner or whatever. I like to like read or something before I go to bed, just to kind of shut my mind off. Or I've also started crocheting, so I crochet blankets like a little old lady.
And your cats too.
And my cats.
And I walked in and there was
Yes.
I'm assuming it wasn't originally in color, the movie in which
No. Yep.
yeah.
Old black and white movies.
Which I'm not
also my
critical
favorite.
of it at all.
So yes, I'm definitely a homebody, old lady at heart type. But I mean, obviously, I like to go out and do other things too. But yeah. So same during the week and on the weekends. I mean, I like to make time for that stuff. I find those kind of things, those kind of activities, kind of like I said, just shutting my mind off, kind of mindless activities, to just kind of decompress. And I don't like to bring work home with me type thing,
Sure.
which is hard when you can work from home.
I was
But
gonna say, yeah.
I like to have separate time for different things, I guess.
I think I can relate to that similarly, but obviously different while still being in a household with other family members. I was vacuuming the other day, and I mean, I didn't necessarily enjoy it, but it was like I was doing homework, and I preferred to vacuum the house versus doing schoolwork, and
Right.
it's just kind of like a necessity in terms of keeping the house clean and whatnot.
Right.
So it just deals with that overlay between domestic and leisure. I obviously am not gonna have fun with vacuuming, but it was interesting nonetheless. Okie doke. The next set of questions regards to more specifically your leisure time and how you spend your leisure time, where you spend it, with whom, and so on. And what's interesting about leisure is every person thinks of leisure differently. Since Vanessa and I both work at a golf course, we deal with, and obviously Vanessa also works with other individuals from her real estate job as well, but we get to see a diverse group of people. Groups come in, big events come in, and then obviously the single individuals who come and play by themselves. So you have a different mindset for each person that comes and plays at the golf course. You have like avid golfers, and then people who are just there for fun, and then people who are preparing for tournaments. And so that's kind of an interesting, especially as it relates to a leisure activity such as golf or a sport. Just kind of tying back into the theme of this interview. But back to the question dealing with Vanessa. Vanessa, how do you spend your leisure time? How would you denote what your leisure time is? And then do you like to spend that with people, by yourself? Just kind of give us the rundown.
Yeah, so I have kind of a group of good girlfriends that I like to hang out with. I prefer, my mom lives around the corner, so my mom's one of my besties, so we hang out a lot, go do things or whatever. But being a homebody, like I'd rather have people, my girlfriends over to the house to just hang out, have dinner, relax on the patio or something. My mom and I will go out to dinner or something like that. But I mean, basically, I kind of just feel like anything that's you're not working is kind of leisure time. So
Okay. I mean, I would agree that most people feel that outside of their job, they're most of the time doing something they enjoy or something their family enjoys.
I mean, it's just, for me being 34 and single and no children or anything, obviously most women my age have probably had kids or something. So they're chasing children around and
Sure.
I can just kind of do whatever I want, which is fabulous to me. But yeah, I mean, I just kind of do whatever I want, basically. I don't know if that answers your question.
That is perfectly, no, that's good. And that's, I think, obviously one of the reasons why I chose Vanessa is because I'm not singling her out, but it's apart from her typical, the homegrown, what am I trying to say? I think just you are a homebody yourself, but I know a lot of married women with children stay at home anyway. So,
Right.
but you choose to do this because it's what, your job and your career and your
Right.
and being single. It's because it's something that you enjoy, and that's
Yeah.
tying back into the reasoning why I chose Vanessa for the interview, just because she's something different from the everyday woman, in a good way. So, and then that brings us kind of to one of our last questions, dealing with constraints of your leisure time and the inability to do stuff. And I think that from a societal standpoint, being a woman, some people may argue that you don't have the same opportunity to partake in leisurely activities due to social barriers because you're a woman. Yeah, it's just some things that we've touched on, but you don't have to agree with it necessarily. And then what other things? Being I think they could safe to consider you a middle class working individual, but there's some activities that are not accessible to you because you're not in that upper class.
Right.
But how do you feel, just quickly, about, do you feel constrained by society because you are a single woman not being able to partake in activities?
Not at all. Not at all. I'm where I am because of decisions that I've made and because of ambitions that I've had, due to the way I was brought up, the way my parents raised me, whatever. I mean, right now, I really wouldn't even consider myself middle class just because, with real estate, it can be, I'm less than 2 years into it. So it can be hard to get into it and really get going and really establish a client base and really get the income flowing for that. So, which is why I'm also working at the golf shop, because, I need some kind of steady income to keep me going. So for now, I'm content with where I'm at, just trying to build my new business and get to that point where I don't have to worry about it. But I mean, no, absolutely not. As far as the social barriers or anything like that, I don't think I'm a very, very independent, very kind of a go-getter female. And I don't think a lot of people are used to that. And especially being in the golf industry, it's an industry that's mostly men. When I was in the golf industry before, I was the director of operations for Troon Clubs. So again, I worked with a lot of males, and I never felt like I was treated differently for being a female. Or I shouldn't say differently. I should say, worse or not given opportunities because I was a female.
Absolutely.
I don't, I feel like everything is individual and it's about the person and what they can bring to the table. But no, I don't feel like social barriers at all have disrupted anything with my career.
That's another, once again, I don't mean to beat a dead horse here, but that is another reason why Vanessa, I'm interviewing her now, is because she's going to have a different opinion from, not everyone, but, she's a great example of finding her way in life and not necessarily, no one's life is perfect and everyone has ups and downs,
Right.
and everyone's different, but a lot of people tend, especially some things we've addressed in the class, not necessarily agreed with, but, it is society's fault and responsibility that you haven't progressed where you wish you want to be. and there's things holding you back because you're a woman. But I think that Vanessa touched on, she's where she is for the mostly, I would say,
Oh, yeah.
almost 100% because of the decisions she's made or the lack thereof.
Right.
And that's neither a good or a bad thing. It's just how life hands you
Right.
the next step. And when I have to write a paper post this interview, but I'll be able to discuss how not, although things in the media, things in school and work and everything, it always seems like people are playing some sort of victimhood or claiming
Yeah.
victimhood and claiming the card. And
I agree.
there are cases, I would argue, some cases that
Are legit.
some yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
There are
absolutely.
some discriminatory and you name it. We don't need to get into that, but I think that it is nice to hear individuals who are, I think, overall content with the way society has treated them and kind of where they're at now. And that's,
Yeah, and one of my, I guess philosophies is just, if you don't like it, change it. I mean, if you feel, and this goes for anybody, not just a woman or whatever, like if you feel that you're being brought down by something in a job or something else, change it.
Speak up.
Change the situation, change the environment, and do better. I don't think, I think that's one of the great things about our country where we live, is that we have any opportunity that we want. We just have to go get it. So could I have made some better decisions along the way? Probably.
Yeah.
But, it is what it is. And I mean, nothing's guaranteed. So, but I mean, I am, happy with where I'm at. And I had, before I started real estate, I had a really good career going, and I decided to change that. So it's kind of,
and not based on mostly not based on what society handed you, just because
No, not at all.
it was a human nature decision, right?
right. I just got tired of working for other people. And
That's totally valid.
I, while I loved my job, I loved what I did, I was extremely good at it. I was just ready for something different and ready to have something where I could control my job, my career. So I wanted to work for myself. So it'll take time. I know it'll take time to build it, but it's, I'll get there.
Yeah, absolutely. And then I think one last thing, once again, Vanessa brought up that really good point about balance, and that if Vanessa's statement is true, which I would agree with her, in that a lot of it, life and everything, boils down to your own responsibility and your own decisions. You can make your life meaningful and happy and productive, and if you make it balanced, having a good amount of work and leisure and domestic tasks, I think that really whatever you can set your mind to, you can accomplish, and it kind of derives, or I guess steers away from how society once again is just responsible for all your problems. And of course, I will one last, yeah, exactly. And there are some cases which we have discussed in the class where it is unfortunate that society fails some people, but I don't think society owes people, because people make society and they make their own decisions. So, and then the only last question I have for you is, besides the societal constraints, are there any time constraints that, or other types of constraints that prevent you from partaking in leisure activities that might just come as a result of life? You maybe wish you had more leisure time, because everyone wishes they didn't have to work and did leisure time. But are there pertinent constraints that?
I mean, right now, going back to the building my business thing, the biggest constraint that I have is not necessarily time. I mean, yes, working two jobs can get a little bit time consuming, but for right now it's financial. I mean, trying to build my business and trying to build a client base and get enough of that coming through with real estate so that I don't have to work a second job is ultimately the goal. But I can't really afford to take time off, you know,
Yes.
because working part-time, apparently I'm not eligible for time off. So, you know, I was out of town last week, so that was basically a whole week that I wasn't getting paid at the golf shop because I'm a part-time employee,
Exactly.
which I understand. So yeah, so pretty much financial is the biggest constraint for me right now. You know,
Yeah.
which is unfortunate. But
Yeah.
again, I'll get there eventually, and then I can take off all the time in the world if I want.
And that's a whole lot of people, a hole that a lot of people fall into and get into not trouble, but, financial constraints are their main constraint in life. And that's where they tend to start blaming things on the responsibility of society and
Right.
people and individuals like Vanessa here. And, I mean, we just discussed it here. Obviously, more money would make life a lot easier.
Really easier.
But,
yeah.
but she's taken it upon herself to, motivate herself to obviously partake in two jobs in order to sustain her long-term goals, which requires some patience and short-term sacrifices. Hopefully,
Yeah.
obviously, you never know
Right.
what's going to happen, but
Yeah.
but yeah, Vanessa's a real trooper, and I don't mean to make her life sound terrible, but
No, it's
she's
pretty great.
she's always got a positive attitude, and I think that's one of the many reasons I've already listed in the last 26 minutes why I got the chance to interview. So, I think we have to wrap up with like a conclusion of some sort. Let's see here. It just mentions that because this may constitute a learning experience for interviewees, which I think we can both say it has, and I need to make sure that I ask the interviewee at the conclusion of the interview, what, if anything, was revealed to you, Vanessa, as a result of your conversation? I mean, I didn't touch on a lot of stuff because it's more about you, but
Right.
me, I don't know.
Well, like we've had other conversations, being able to work together and stuff. We've had other conversations about stuff that's similar and, a similar topic. And I think what's interesting to me is, people my age, we always, or I should say, we often think of the younger generation as kind of wandering aimlessly through this world. So, just talking to you about work and careers and school and things like that with you has kind of restored my faith in humanity a little bit. So thank you for that.
Absolutely.
But we always want to know that the next generation is being productive and is well educated. So I appreciate those conversations that we've had and talking through the interview.
I went into this project, I think it was kind of going to be like just a unnecessary, out of the way, having to find someone to interview. And I unfortunately was able to get Vanessa on her way back home from her week away. So thank you for the interview.
Thank you.
We met
Thanks
the
for
time
thinking of me.
requirements. And from Jack Picton, I'm signing off.